Card 40. For this problem, you need to know how to work with negative numbers, and you need to know how to plug into the answers. So that's a strategy that you can use for a lot of the problems when you're not sure what to do, and two, when it will just make the thought process a little bit easier. Just pick a number and plug it into the answers and then see which one works. So let's get started. We know that A is less than 0, and we're wondering which of these answer choices will be the greatest result. So I'm going to write them all out, and then we'll test them. But the way that you should deal with these sorts of problems is always just plugging something in that fits the criteria. And in this case, criteria being that A is less than 0. So pick the easiest number to work with that fits the criteria, and then plug it in and see what happens. So I would say the easiest number to plug in that's less than 0 would be -1. So we're going to say that A equals -1, and we're just going to solve all of the answer choices given that A equals -1. So if A is just A, so A equals -1, that's our answer for A. Now B, 5 minus A. 5 minus A. Always plug in, especially if you're dealing with a negative, plug it in parentheses so that you don't get confused. For example, 5 minus, you might get confused with the minus minus. So if you write it out with parentheses, then you will remember to deal with both negatives. So remember that a 5 minus a negative becomes a plus. So 5 plus 1 equals 6. That's our answer for B. C, 5 plus A. 5 plus -1. Now, plus a negative becomes a minus, so 5 minus 1, which equals 4. So that's our answer for C. Now it's the fraction, so it starts getting a little bit more confusing, but we can handle it. So A plus 1 over A. So -1 plus 1 over -1. So now let's reduce. We have a -1 plus, what's 1 over -1? 1 divided by -1 is -1. So -1 plus a minus is a -1. -1 minus 1 is -2. Okay, E. A, -1 over -A. -1. I always like to just write it out rather than doing it in my head. I like to write it all out the first time and then start reducing because it's so easy to make mistakes, especially when you're dealing with a negative. So -1 over negative times -1 is +1. And then -1 divided by +1 is -1. So that's our answer for E. So now we're looking for which of the following is greatest. So you'll see that 6 is the greatest result we got. So B is the correct answer. B is the greatest.